And it's August 6th. Welcome on in to Daily Cards Live here on ClaibsOnline.com, presented by Mungenast St. Louis Acura and Royal Banks of Missouri. I'm Joe Roderick. And hey, Rammer on the IL for today, as he mentioned yesterday, having knee surgery this morning. He's already tweeting about it, so I assume he is doing just fine. I couldn't talk him into doing the show on painkillers, so I went to KMOV.com and I got Brendan Schaefer to join us for today's show. What's going on, Brendan?
Not much, Joe Rod. Yeah, I think opening the screen and people tuning in, that's not Bob Ramsey. That is some other guy in his living room. What's going on here? Yeah, but it's good to be with you, man.
Yeah, good to have you. And, we do this every day, and I drag you in to doing this in what was possibly one of the most frustrating losses last night for the Cardinals season, as it looked like maybe they had an opportunity to at least salvage one game out of that series. And then, I mean, we've seen the bases loaded walks this year. We've seen the walks as a whole this year.
More than any other team.
Right. And last night, the wheels just completely fell off. And that's as much of a disaster in a Cardinal game that I can remember seeing in the last decade.
Yeah, that's tough, especially when you get the start you wanted from Wade LeBlanc. Like, we came into this Braves series talking about the starters and what that would end up looking like. And from J.A. Happ and then Wade LeBlanc last night, you get pretty good outings, like put you right where you want to be in the lead. And then the bullpen, and Gio Gallegos ends up being the guy both times to not have his best night and blow things, which is really unexpected when you look at the kind of season that he's had. And then you bring in Reyes to try to kind of be the fireman to pick up the pieces afterwards. And with the number of base runners that he's allowed this season, that maybe is not a situation you want to be in. And he just didn't have it last night and got hung out to dry and until it was far too late to be able to bring it back. It was a tough situation to watch for a guy that's had such a great season, an all-star, and to see it come off the rails last night the way it did was brutal.
Yeah, that inning last night, that top of the eighth inning started off pretty fast. You got the Ozzie Albies ground out and the Jorge Soler fly out, and then it goes single, home run, double, hit by pitch, walk.
And you're, like you said, you had two outs. You're that close to being out of it, whether it was Gallegos or then Reyes coming in and finding a way to get somebody, but none of that happened. I mean, to have five guys in a row reach base the way they did, and it's like that Simpsons gif, except for there was nobody hitting the ball. They were just walking around the bases and collecting their runs.
And you go and you look at the post-game comments there, too. And there has been more and more piling on of Mike Shildt this season. And I think it's right to question him going to Gallegos again in that situation, given the fact he threw 30 pitches the night before and didn't have it. So going right back to him doesn't seem like that great of an idea. But going to Reyes in that situation does seem like the right call. Like, I can absolutely see that in a non-save situation at the time, just going there and being like, you know what, get us out of this. We'll figure out how to get out other outs from here. Just, get this out for us in right now. But his comments after the game, we've seen Mike Shildt all season long begging the front office for some sort
Give me some help.
Yeah, just get me arms, get me major league ready arms. And the guys that they have brought on just haven't cut it. Aside, Wade LeBlanc, though, has been very good this year. Outside of that, you had the Justin Miller game in San Francisco where he came out and got the save. I could not tell you another highlight of any of the other arms that they've brought in so far this year. But then to say after the game, I would have gone to them at any point. When earlier this season you have said, I can't go to them every night. It's becoming contradictory.
Yeah, but I think part of that is because of the difficult situation that he's been put in by the front office, honestly. And you talk about the other arms that they've accrued and tried to work out. A lot of these guys are scrap heap names that they're just trying to find anything, catch lightning in a bottle, whatever the case might be. And so last night you get to that situation and you say, okay, it's going to be Gallegos, knowing, he did throw a lot of pitches the night before, but he's one of the two guys that I could potentially trust. And so he's typically our eighth inning guy, and we're going to go with it and hope that it works out. rather than, would people have complained if it's Luis Garcia or Justin Miller that gets that inning and gives it up? Probably would have been the same thing. And so it's a really difficult situation, I think, that he's been put into where, yes, he recognizes that you can't use the same guys every night, but when the same guys are maybe the guys that you feel are only going to give you a chance to win and maybe nobody else would, it can be very tempting to do what he did last night, especially when I imagine Gallegos was saying, I want the ball. Of course I can do it. He was probably pretty eager to get back out there. It's just a really tough situation. And I think the roster is what makes it rather than the manager's decisions on the roster. There are times where he could maybe go a different direction, but it seems like night after night he's put into these positions that are just not ideal and nobody would envy.
I'm confused by the lack of confidence right now in Andrew Miller, who since the beginning of July has only allowed 2 runs in about 10 or so appearances. So you're going on a month right now of him pitching very well, coming off the injured list, an extended stay on the injured list, and his arm seems fresh, and he seems like he should be a guy that gets worked in there. He's been in high leverage spots in his career. That's what he was brought in to this team to do, and he's in the final year of his deal right now with the Cardinals. See what's there. See if there's any interest in maybe going one more after this season with him, and see if maybe he's found it, because he hasn't been that lights out guy that he was at other points in his career. But just kind of give him a look, and the arm is there. I don't get the hesitation to go there.
Yeah, I don't know if that's like a lefty-righty thing, because you go to Gallegos and maybe they like the way that lines up, or it's just a matter of, I mean, they use Cabrera seemingly in the 7th every time, regardless of who he's facing, and so there hasn't been a lot of wiggle room there. It's been Cabrera, Gallegos, Reyes. That's the way they've gone. Yeah, the usage of Andrew Miller has been one of the strange things of late, and it seems like every few days when we don't see him, Mike Shildt will get asked about it, and it's like, yeah, he's ready to go. It's like, well, where is the guy? Like, why? It's like they don't use him until it's already too late, and it's a very low leverage spot where, yeah, lefty, righty, who cares? If the guy's getting outs, I would think they would be a little more willing to try him in situations where they're looking around that bullpen and they don't like what they see. All right, well, here's a guy who's done it before. I know he's had some weird injury situations earlier in the season, had that blister, and it was kind of strange, but then he's come back, and it just seems like pretty underutilized recently. I definitely agree with that point. I can't figure that one out.
So he goes in yesterday and just pitches to one batter, gets a double play, and they get out of it. So swept by the Braves, you move on. And as much as Rammer and I talked, and I was so excited to see the beginning or see what this schedule looked like in the month of August, the Braves series didn't work out. You move on to the next one. The Royals are in town today. I have an interview up on ClaibsOnline.com right now with Joe Goldberg, who is the Jimmy the Cat Hayes of Kansas City. We talk about the series and preview this team a little bit, which is not good. They are not good. They traded off a couple pieces at the All-Star break. They still kept Whit Merrifield, so we will see him this weekend. And it looks like Jake Woodford's time as a starter with the Cardinals is also done, as at least with the St. Louis Cardinals. Maybe he goes back down to Memphis and they keep working on that with Johan Oviedo. But the series, the series rotation has been set. Adam Wainwright tonight, KK tomorrow, John Lester on Sunday. So Lester does get that another opportunity. Was there any, did you think at all that maybe Woodford would get that start on Sunday instead of Lester, or is this what Lester was brought in to do?
Yeah, I think they're going to give Lester every opportunity every 5th day to see what they can find in him, because you do have Miles and Jack hopefully returning from the injured list pretty soon. I think at that point in time, there are going to be some difficult decisions that need to be made about the rotation and about the roster and bullpen and who goes where. And so, Lester didn't look good in his first outing, but was able to kind of settle in. I think the Cardinals are more than happy to see what he has on Sunday, if he can kind of stabilize things the way Happ and LeBlanc have done, so that they can at least make an informed decision. With what they saw from Woodford in the last outing, I would be surprised now with the depth that they did add over the trade deadline if Woodford ends up making another start. You might see him down the line as a long man again if they feel they need that out of their bullpen. But yeah, Lester, I think he's still in a position where the Cardinals are like, yeah, let's see what we have, because we're going to have to make some decisions on guys when those guys return from injury. So let's figure this out now before we get to that point.
Yeah, this is something that we've talked about a few times, and I'll get your opinion on it too. And I imagine it's stuff that you've covered in your podcast as well, the B Shafe Daily podcast.
Yes, sir.
it's not so much that the Cardinals didn't go out and buy or sell. It was just so much as if they said, you know what, we're just going to get through the end of this season. We're not going to put any of that pressure on Oviedo anymore. Looks like they're probably going to do the same with Woodford. Just, you know what, Lester, Hap, just get us through the rest of these innings. And, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much the approach they took. And they said, listen, we don't want to give up any of our top names. There might have been some guys out there we can try to trade for, but to do so, it's going to mean trading away prospects that we think can help us in 2022 and beyond. And so we're just not going to do it. And they gave up John Gant. They gave up Lane Thomas, two guys that pretty clearly didn't have much of a future in St. Louis beyond this season. And so they feel that's a worthwhile expenditure. These are two veterans that we bring in. Let's just see what happens. And in an ideal universe, they don't need them for very much longer if they get two of their horses back and everybody else stays healthy. And so it was really such a short-term view. But yeah, I mean, they had to cover the innings somehow. And they just were like, okay, we've gone too long with maybe hindering Oviedo's development by having him here before he's ready, when he can potentially be down at Memphis working on some things. So I think, honestly, that was one of the bigger draws to making the moves that they made. Yeah, it was clear. They didn't want to give anybody up, but they said, listen, we got to do this. We're just going to see what happens. It's not exciting for the fan base. It's not sexy, but it is what it is. And that's kind of like the motto of the Cardinal season at this point. Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, so they go into, and you know what? I said this a lot earlier in the season. I would say that the Cardinals needed to go into a series and sweep. And again, you have the Royals, the Pirates, the Royals. Those are the next three teams. You need a 9-game winning streak here. Like, that's the only thing that will save your season. Not going 7-2. Not doing whatever the hell they did back in that run in June where they played a bunch of butt asses.
Yeah, they had the same thing, and they didn't win any of those games either.
I mean, it needs to be 9-0 if they want to have any kind of chance at doing anything in October.
And that's what really sucks about the Braves series, because coming into it, I was saying it didn't need to be that way. Just win 2 out of 3 every time like you did against the Twins, and make sure you beat the Brewers too, because you still have 13 games against them. And so those combinations of playing bad teams, and I think in the month of August, they've got the Royals and Pirates, as you mentioned. I think the number is 16 times. If you just win 10 of those, it's like, all right, well, now you're doing good. Well, you lost 3 to the Braves, so basically only winning 10 now puts you around 500. So you can't do that. Now you have to win even more because you just got swept. So, yeah, the ante has been raised, unfortunately, based on their bad performance this week, to where they do. They need to beat the tar out of the bad teams and beat the tar out of the Brewers as well, or they don't have much of a chance.
Oh, this has been another edition of Daily Cards Live here on Claves. It's so damn frustrating.
It is what it is, right?
It is. It's so frustrating to just look at what they have out there. And I am constantly hearing from people saying how bored they are going to the games and how they stopped watching it and watching other stuff. And it just sucks to hear that in early August, when there are 2 months of the season left. And, you know, there are fun players on this team, but as a whole, it's just hasn't been a great experience.
This is what's happening in the year you got Nolan Arenado. Like, this was supposed to be, and it's like Yachty's coming back, Waino's coming back. Like, this could be something. And other than those moves, it was like, we'll see.
Yeah.
Good luck, everybody. And so it's been kind of rough.
Yeah, it's hey, you could follow Brendan Schaefer on Twitter. He has a lot of poll questions on there, and his daily podcast, Be Schaefer Daily, which you could find on the Twitter page as well. Thank you so much for filling in for Bob Ramsey. Rammer expected to be back on Monday. I told him, regardless of the painkiller situation, I want his thoughts on this weekend series.
Oh, he'll have some things to say.
I imagine he will. I am upset that he is not here today, because I would love to hear his thoughts.
I can't even imagine what he was thinking.
Many guys being driven in without swinging the bat. I cannot imagine how much fun that would have been to listen to. He's Brendan Schaefer. I'm Joe Roderick. This has been Daily Cards Live, presented by Mungenast, St. Louis Acura, and Royal Banks of Missouri, right here on ClavesOnline.com.
St. Louis Acura is excited to announce the opening of our newly remodeled service lounge. We sell pre-owned vehicles of all makes and models and take pride in servicing what we sell. We offer free pickup and delivery service and a complimentary car wash and vacuum with every service. We also have a full-service reconditioning shop on site that can repair dents, bumpers, and wheels. As the nation's only 29-time Acura Precision Team winner for customer satisfaction, we work every day to make St. Louis Acura better than ever for you.